Welcome to the first new book releases of 2025. These are the books releasing on January 7th. And as promised last week, this week is much bigger. I said the word week a lot in that first opening spiel there, didn't I? Oh well. I'm Morgan, and I hope that you will stick around for many more of these new releases to come, because pretty much every week this month there are a lot of interesting books coming out. If this is the first time you've been here, on these videos we will have them separated by genre, and I will put timestamps so you can click to whichever genre might be your favorite. And first up this week, we're going to talk about some YA books. The first one being The Last Bookstore on Earth by Lily Braun Arnold. The world is about to end again. Ever since the first storm wreaked havoc on civilization as we know it, 17-year-old Liz Flannery has been holed up in an abandoned bookstore in suburban New Jersey where she used to work, trading books for supplies with a few remaining survivors. It's the one place left that feels safe to her, until she learns that another earth-shattering storm is coming and everything changes. And someone also might be breaking into the bookstore and they have to get along. Our next one up is Breath of the Dragon by Fonda Lee and Shannon Lee. This is the first of the series called Breathmarked. A young warrior dreams of proving his worth in the elite Guardian tournament, fighting not only for himself, but the fate of everything he loves. 16-year-old June dreams of proving his worth as a warrior in the elite Guardians tournament, held every 6 years to entrust the magical scroll of heaven to a new protector. Eager to prove his skills, June hopes that a win will restore his father's pride, righting a horrible mistake that caused their banishment from his home, mother, and twin brother. But his father doesn't want him to do this tournament because apparently he doesn't have this breath mark, which gives some sort of dragon-like ability. It's like a little patch of scales on you, which sounds troubling, but that's what helps you be the warrior, and it gives you the skills that you need to be a warrior. And his twin does have this thing. So there's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. From there, we have an alternate historical fiction, A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. This is the start to a series of unnamedness, I think, right? An alternate London in 1923, one girl accidentally breaks the tenuous truce between dragons and humans. In this sweeping debut, an epic retelling of Bletchley Park steeped in language, class, and forbidden romance. Dragons soar through the skies and protests erupt on the streets, but Vivian Featherswallow isn't worried. She's going to follow the rules, get a summer internship studying dragon languages, be smart, be sweet, and make sure her little sister never ever has to grow up in third class. She just has to free one dragon. By midnight, Viv has started a civil war. And then she has to go be part of this code-breaking group that could be very, very pivotal while being very dangerous at the same time. Our last one is more of just regular YA fiction, though it deals with coming of age and trauma and grief, and you'll see why. Afterlife by Gail Foreman. One spring afternoon after school, Amber arrives home on her bike. Just another perfectly normal day, but when Amber's mom sees her, she screams. Because Amber died 7 years ago, hit by a car on the very same bicycle she's inexplicably riding now. This return doesn't only impact Amber. Her sister Melissa is now 7 years older and must be a new kind of sibling to Amber. Amber's estranged parents are battling over her, and the changes ripple further and further out. Amber's friends, boyfriend, and even people she met only once have been deeply affected by her life and death. In the midst of everyone's turmoil, Amber is struggling with herself. What kind of person was she? How and why was she given this second chance? From there, we move into adult fiction with The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. This is another historical fiction, though. Egypt, 1936. When anthropology student Charlotte Cross is offered a coveted spot on an archaeological dig in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, she leaps at the opportunity. That is, until an unbearable tragedy strikes. New York City, 1978. 19-year-old Annie Jenkins is thrilled when she lands an opportunity to work for former Vogue fashion editor Diana Vreeland, who's in the midst of organizing the famous Met Gala, hosted at the museum and known across the city as the Party of the Year. The night of the gala, one of the Egyptian art collection's most valuable artifacts goes missing, and there are signs Hathrakars Legendary curse might be reawakening. Annie and Charlotte team up to search for the missing antiquity, and a desperate hunch leads the unlikely duo to the one place Charlotte swore she'd never return: Egypt. Then we have A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. James and Johnny Golden were once inseparable. For as long as she could remember, James shared an almost supernatural connection with her twin brother Johnny that went beyond intuition. She could feel what he was feeling. So, when Johnny was killed in an accident, James knows before her phone even rings that her brother is gone and that she's alone, truly alone for the first time in her life. When James arrives in the secluded town of Six Rivers, California to settle her brother's affairs, she's forced to revisit the ominous events of their shared past and finally face Micah, the only other person who knows their secrets and the only man she has ever loved. Now into romance, we have the third book in the When in Rome series, which is following another couple, like each one is following a different couple in the town of Rome, Kentucky. Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. Emily Walker hates having her carefully crafted world disrupted by anyone, most of all her legendary nemesis, Jack Bennett. He's the opposite of the wonderful hero she dreams up in her double life as a romance writer, which is why Emily was perfectly happy when Jack left Rome, Kentucky, mid-school year with his fiancée. The last thing Emily saw coming was Jack's return at the start of the summer after calling off the wedding and ending his relationship, but he's here to stay as her colleague and her neighbor. Jack is glad to be back, eager to renovate his house and work on the next mystery novel under his best-selling pen name. But when he realizes he's now neighbors with the one woman who has always pushed his buttons, he discovers something he's even more excited about: thwarting Emily and her petty plans to sabotage his return. And I think they're both supposed to be elementary school teachers? Into our other large genre of the week would be romantasy. First one up is Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. The young heir to a mortal crown, Leanne ascends a precarious throne when her grandfather dies, vowing to end her kingdom's obligation to the immortals and take vengeance against those who she feels responsible for his death. When she is summoned to the immortal realm, she seizes the opportunity to learn their secrets and to form a tenuous alliance to safeguard her people, all with the one she should fear and mistrust the most, the ruthless god of war. As they are drawn together, a treacherous attraction ignites between them, one she has to resist, to not endanger all she is fighting for. The cover for this one is gorgeous, as per normal, but I do believe this is also a standalone, I think, if I remember and read that right. Of course, standalones could always become more later, but you know. Then we have The Starlight Air by Emily Howard. When the gold-dusted court invitation arrives at Soraya Sab's forge, she believes it's a joke. Nobles might seek her skills as a bladesmith, one of few who can imbue her work with precious Jado? The last source of magic in the realm, but she has no qualifications as a potential bride for the crown prince. Still, the invitation is the chance of an adventure and the means to finally visit the capital city her late mother loved. But what awaits her in Kaldari is nothing she could have imagined, and fraught with danger is not the crown prince, but the impossibly handsome, illegitimate half-brother Roshan who captures her interest and her ire. The invitation isn't a quest to find a suitable bride, but a veiled hunt for the Starkeeper, a girl rumored to hold magic of the stars in her blood. And of course, there's some sort of rebellion brewing at the time point when she's going to be in the capital and when things are happening. Then we have the final book in the Halfling saga, An Honored Vow by Melissa Blair. Your land is not the one you take, it's the one you die for. In this one, our main character was the king's assassin and weapon, kind of, that was sent against the Shadow in the first book, who was an enemy to the court, and she kind of finds out things about herself, that she is not the person she thought she was, that her heritage isn't what she thought, thus the halfling part of it. But this is the conclusion to the saga, and I haven't started it at all. So I have no idea who the romance of it is. On to another sequel, though. We have Four Ruined Realms by Mai Cortland. This is the second in the Broken Blade series that started with 5 broken blades. It's the 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective: to kill the God King June. He has it coming. Under his merciless, immortal hand, the nobles flourish while the poor and innocent are imprisoned, ruined, or sold. And now each of the 5 blades will come for him. Each has tasted bitterness, from the hired hitman seeking atonement, a lovely assassin who seeks freedom, or even the prince banished for his cruel crimes. None can resist the sweet, icy lure of vengeance. And it also had said, and they're all liars. And then the tag for Four Ruined Realms says, the king of Yusan may be the greatest liar of them all. And fantasy is another one of a continuing series. This is book 10 in the Wayward Children series, which I really thought there was more than 10 by now. Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna Maguire. This one is following Nadia as she's had 3 mothers, the one who bore her, the country that poisoned her, and the one who adopted her. She never considered herself less than whole, not until her adoptive parents fitted her with a prosthetic arm against her will, seeking to replace the one she'd been missing since birth. I do believe this series follows a different character in every book, I think is how that works. I haven't started the series, but if you were a fan of it and have been following it, the next one is coming out this week. Finally, we have sci-fi with All the Water in the World by Erin Cauffiel. In the years after the glaciers melt, Nani, her older sister, and her parents and their researcher friends have stayed behind in the almost deserted New York City, creating a settlement on the roof of the American Museum of Natural History. The rule: take from the exhibits only in dire need. They hunt and grow their food in Central Park as they work to save the collections of human history and science. When a superstorm breaches the city's flood walls, Nani and her family must escape north on the Hudson. They carry with them a book that holds the records of the lost collections. Racing on the swollen river towards what may be safety, they encounter communities that have adapted in very different and sometimes frightening ways to the new reality. But they are determined to find a way to make a new world that honors all that they've saved. Those are all the ones for my list this week. If you know of any other ones coming out that you want to let people know about, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. Maybe you're able to find one on this list that you want to go pick up, and hopefully you enjoyed this video so you'll subscribe and come back every week for more new book releases. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see you in the next one.